Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning is an institution where knowledge is wisdom for the heart. At this university, professors ignite the young minds and not just fill them up with knowledge. It has a merit-based open admissions policy for all, irrespective of the economic background, religion, or region. All research at SSSIHL is needs-based and therefore helps alleviate problems affecting the poorer sections of society, ultimately leading to social benefit. One of the most interesting coincidences of life is when someone becomes the Vice Chancellor of their own alma mater, as Sri R.J. Ratnakar sir also mentioned. Our next speaker is an alumnus of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Professor B. Raghavendra Prasad, the Vice Chancellor of SSSIHL. He is here to present on leveraging the synergies of common ground. His insights promise to offer a unique perspective on collaborative efforts. Let us give a hearty applause and a warm welcome to our Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor B. Raghavendra Prasad.
Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most prayerful salutations at the divine lotus feet of our most revered founder Chancellor, Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. And I'm sure all of us know that it's solely because of him all of us have assembled over here. I would like to make this presentation not as a Vice Chancellor of a university, but as a proud recipient, a humble and grateful alumni of this institution, which nurtured me and helped me to grow in my career. Respected Chancellor, Sri Chakravarti Garu, esteemed trustees, Sri Nagananda and Sri R.J. Ratnakar, Sister Karuna Munshi and all the volunteers of Sri Sathya Sai Vidyavahini program, eminent scholars, policymakers, distinguished speakers, participants, directors, the deans, and my colleagues, and finally the dearest students. It's a great honor that I stand before all of you to make this small presentation on the ecosystem which Swami has created, what is called Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. Okay. The theme of my talk, which of course Sister Karuna Munshi very generously gave me, which I noticed only in the last minute, was leveraging the common ground, integral to inclusion. Of course, I did have a lot of discussions internally with all my colleagues as how do we, really take this forward. I just want to tell you all that integral and inclusion are the very cornerstones of Sri Sathya Sai education model. What is Sai education philosophy? Of course, Brother Ratnakar and Sister Karuna Munshi explained it very beautifully, but I thought I will also share some thoughts on that. Swami, as Brother Ratnakar said, Swami coined this beautiful word called educare. To put it most simplistic way, what does that mean in Swami's own words? To bring out what is latent within, what is latent in every human being, that is the inherent human values, the inherent goodness. So this ecosystem, SSSI education system, helps in that bringing out what is latent within every student and every child that enters these portals. Again, when we say that, see, there are a lot of times when we travel around and talk to various people, they think the moment they say that you are from SSSI Institute of Higher Learning, SSSI education system, they think it's a small, it's some kind of spiritual organization, and where we are taught Vedas and mantras and subjects which are not so academic. But to their utter surprise, when they visit us or when we interact with them, they invariably find that is a modern Gurukula. I'll tell you in next couple of slides why we call it as modern Gurukula, where there is a seamless synthesis of secular and spiritual education is given to the students. So in the secular, we don't lag in anything to the latest curriculum, the latest requirements of education system. At the same time, the very ecosystem over here, the way the students live here, brings in the spiritual aspects of that. Actually, this is one of the beautiful. If you see our institute's annual reports, you find a beautiful flower over there. And if you see the symbol over here, at the bottom of it, is an infinity symbol, isn't it? It's an infinity. I'm sure infinity is something which very difficult to explain what exactly it is. It's very difficult to fathom its, the depth or greatness. It's impossible to fathom its breadth or the size or the dimensions. So what it means is, in this system, where the teacher and the student, the preceptor and the pupil, they all stay together. They interact with each other in a seamless manner. The student gets to learn from the teacher by their very, at any time, anything they want to. The teachers act like mentors, role models, everything. So the combination of this has infinite potential. So that's the reason why we chose this symbol. Now, next, the flower. If you see, there's a beautiful flower which has 5 dimensions over here in our education system. The stalk of this flower is the discipline, which is crucial to this entire education model over here. And you have these 5 beautiful petals over here. If you see that there are the 5 dimensions of this education system, one is the devotional, the service, the cultural, the physical dimension, and the intellectual dimension. This is typically the process. The one which seamlessly connects all of them is the very ambience of this place, the truth, the right conduct, peace, love, and non-violence. It seamlessly connects all these dimensions. This is the process of this education. So finally, the question comes, what is the outcome of this education? You can see the outcome is students who are self-aware. Self-aware here, I mean who know their real potential, who are socially responsible, who are emotionally balanced, physically fit, and professionally sound students who are coming out. This is the actually outcome of this education system. Now let me come to SSSI Institute of Higher Learning itself. How do we put this into practice? The whole thing. I mean, one might ask this question. It's easy to say, but how do we really bring it, put it into practice and make sure that it's implemented? One is that the policy framework itself, the core of it is the values-based integral education system, which is defined by Swami himself, the founder Chancellor. And as Brother Ratnakar was saying, probably this is the only institution, only education system in Prashant Nilayam and Brindavan, Anantapur, any of these campuses, where if a child or a student, no matter which class he or she enters, they can come out with PhD degree without paying even one single penny as what we call the typical academic fees. Could be tuition fees, could be anything for that matter. Even the so-called the students who cannot afford the minimal boarding charges, our SSSI Central Trust has been very, very generous in ensuring that that is also waived. So that's the kind of education model we have over here. And as Brother Ratnakar beautifully, mentioned, it is Swami who, one of the, it is the very first thing that Swami started is women empowerment. So the very first institution that he started for women, okay, that's the kind of respect this ecosystem has. The women are the most important part of the society. And as I say, economic inclusion is that we don't really worry about what's your economic background because education is free over here. And there's a total compliance of all the policy and legal requirements. None of them are violated over here. So that's the kind of policy frameworks what we have in place. Again, the admissions are pan-India and purely merit-based. We do not discriminate on any categories, any of the students. And the curriculum itself, probably we are one of the first universities to implement NEP 2020. And all our academic programs are cutting edge because when we see our alumni, students going out, when we see the employers giving us feedback, there's a very dynamic feedback system over here with our alumni and the employer and the faculty members. The courses are corrected very dynamically based on the current requirement. And of course, the most important thing is the awareness courses. Awareness courses, again, is beautifully framed by Swami. We have, which talks about, one is to bring your own potential, make you realize your own potential, your own inner awareness. And the most important thing is unity of all religions. Basically, it says that the paths may be many, but the goal is one. So respect everybody, respect every religion. And we have, several co-curricular activities here where what I say that the latent or hidden talent in every student comes out. Okay? And see, for example, the band group, the student may not know anything ABCD of any instrument, but at the end of 5 years or 10 years or whatever, when he or she passes out, they are the real professionals in that. So similarly, there are any number of co-curricular activities which helps every student to realize their inner potential. And also, it brings them all together. That's the most important thing. And of course, the teaching methodologies are, we have a very customized approach. And for example, if you see I'm sure all of you are educators, students, you know that we have, the very wide spectrum of students in terms of their capabilities. So we ensure that every student has a customized approach over here, starting from those who are weakest to those who are the, really most brilliant, what we call. The teachers ensure that we have a, everybody is taken together. And a lot of bridge courses are given to students so that they make up for the lacuna. And learning environment is, again, the most essential part of our integral values-based education system. That is, it's a purely residential system. And even though we used to have day boarders earlier when the institution started, at some point of time in 1981, Swami said, if you really bring out the real inner values, then it has to be, the students should be generally kept in an ambience which helps them to come out with this latest potential. So that's the reason why this entire thing became residential model. And any of you can walk around any of our hostels or campuses, you will be wondering whether this is a university or a college. You find absolutely serene ambience over there. You do not find any noisemakers, nothing like typical of any other colleges. See, these are the things, just the very ambience itself makes students like that. The awareness of Bharatiya culture. See, we have students across the country and several of the overseas students also. So we celebrate the total Bharatiya culture over here. We celebrate, for example, we celebrate what happens in Kashmir. We celebrate what the culture of Manipur. We celebrate what the culture in Maharashtra. So every culture is celebrated over here. So students are generally aware of all the, tenets of Bharatiya culture. So it's brought in through these celebrations. Faculty are always available. Probably is one university and one ecosystem where you find that any student can walk into any faculty room or any time. Many of the faculties stay in the hostels with the students. I'm not sure how many of you really know that. I just want to tell you that a senior professor, it's unheard of for a senior professor, a senior faculty, to stay with the students in the hostel and share the same meal, eat together in the same dining hall, and sit with them on the floor and then eat. How many institutions can claim this? So this is the ecosystem which Swami has created, where these dedicated faculty members, they stay with the students always and support them and mentor them. So these are the things that, we have support mechanisms. And of course, a continuous career counseling for every student so that when they go out, or even before they go out, we make sure that they are well placed. And if you again walk around the infrastructure over here with Swami's blessings and continuous support, very generous support, in fact, I should say that from SSSIHL Central Trust, we are always grateful to them. It's a physical infrastructure that's available over here, and it's no less in quality to any other, advanced university systems. And community involvement here is again most important aspect over here. We find our students, they develop empathy. It's not that we live in a cocoon over here. They go out, they mix with villagers, they solve their problems, they try to help them out, resolve. So our students spread out across there are a lot of village services that happens, what we call Grama Seva. We actively engage in that with our own students as well as our alumni across the country and across the globe. So that's the way we involve with the community continuously. And of course, our administration, I should not be talking about, others should be saying about it. It's a totally transparent system. We discuss everything. We have very periodic leadership meetings. And probably the leadership meeting, sometimes even though we say for 2 hours, it'll go on for 12 hours. And at the end of the day, after the end of the meeting, we would have discussed every aspect of it, resolved everything, every issue over there, and ensure that everybody is on par in understanding whatever the administrative requirements are. So that's the level. It's a transparent administration over here. Now, to sum up all of that, what I said, is a beautiful picture over here, what we call Temple of Learning, which typically depicts the institutions called SSSIHL Institute of Higher Learning. This Temple of Learning has 2 main pillars. You see, one is academics pillar, the other one is character pillar. The academic pillar, of course, is the core of any education system. It has to be really important. People come here for academics, and the rest follows. So the academics have to be really strong and good. So the academic pillar consists of physical infrastructure, a very competent faculty, and experiential learning, and all the regulatory compliances that are required. And the character building pillar column consists of holistic curriculum and inspiring role models. Inspiring role models are, various people we invite for various lectures. Inspiring role models include our eminent scholars who visit us. They include our faculty members. They include our alumni. Anybody and everybody who come here very periodically, they're all inspiring role models to all of us. Co-curricular activities, again, to bring out the most latent talent in any of the student. And of course, ultimately, self-awareness. Self-awareness, again, I mean that the students are in the process of realizing their own self-potential. On these 2 pillars sits SSSIHL Higher Learning. The outcomes of this on the academic side is research, publications, and conferences. On the character side is values, excellence, and attitude. Together, we have what is called intellectual capital and moral capital, through which the student comes out who is emotionally balanced, physically fit, professionally sound, socially responsible, and self-aware. Finally, what is the outcome of this? The final outcome has to be for the society. The students do know their responsibilities towards themselves, towards their families, towards their society, towards the nation, towards the world in total. So these are the students who come out of this system. Now, what is the way forward? The topic says leveraging integral and inclusion. We have been thinking within our own university with a lot of faculty members. We also have a beautiful education department. See, the idea is if you look at the UN SDGs, particularly the SDG number 4 talks about education, where equality, affordability, a lot of things are talked about. And ultimately, that acts like a very, the foundation of this so-called climate, to prevent the climate disaster. So education becomes the core aspect of that. If you see the UN website, they also talk about such a, integral value-based education system. Now, if it's a really successful model, if we can replicate this model. So how can we replicate this model? This replication only accepted is possible across the globe only when we have a model which satisfies the so-called intellectual curiosity. We have to bring in a lot of statistics, we'll have to bring in a lot of data, we'll have to bring in a lot of inputs, outputs, and the models which needs to be taken forward. So somewhere or other, at the end of 2 days, probably all of us can look at it, how to take this forward. And Vidya Vahini has been one of the most successful programs. Similarly, such as other education systems, schools and institutions and across the country. So we need to really sit together and see how we can replicate this. Of course, we have reached at an extent, but have we reached the entire country? Have we reached the entire continent? Have we reached the entire globe? So ultimately, if you really want to make an impact, I think we need to look at that model. That's where we need to have a think tank or a center, which is, we fondly call it as CSI Center for Integral and Inclusive Education. Thank you very much. Silent all of you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful talk. Innumerable times have I glanced at SSSVV logo before, but never have I thought that it holds such a deep significance. As a volunteer at Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini, I promise to uphold all the values this esteemed organization symbolizes. Thank you once again, sir.